Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl CHISALA and welcome to my channel. And why did I say LA? But anyway, today is Tuesday. That means it's True Crime Tuesday.
Running through these checks like the ones on my shoes. So
John Wayne Gacy. Got his name right. So John Wayne Gacy is known as the Killer Clown, and he's known for the murder and rape and torture of about 33 males. He was on a roll. And the thing with this guy is that his murders were only between 1972 and 1978. So this guy killed 33 people in 6 years. Find a hobby maybe? You might be wondering why he was called the Killer Clown. This was because he was playing as a clown for children entertainment at parties and in hospitals. Can you imagine? Gacy was born on March 17th in Chicago, Illinois. So he was the only guy, and he was the second child of 3 kids born from John Stanley Gacy and Gacy and Marion Robinson. We're talking about his childhood years now. Great. So John, at the age of 4, was already being verbally and physically abused by his father, who was an alcoholic. And despite of all this abuse, John still looked for approval in his father. He still sought that fatherly love that was not in his dad. The father used to call him stupid and stuff and tell him you act like a girl. So unfortunately, at the age of 7, John Wayne Gacy was being molested by a family friend, and he was afraid to tell his parents because he was afraid oh, if I tell him, the dad especially, who was already an abuser, he was afraid he's gonna probably think it's my fault and pin it on me and punish me instead of the molester. So it was pretty tough growing up. During his elementary years, he was about 11 years old, John Wayne Gacy was diagnosed with a congenital heart disease. Therefore, he was overweight because he couldn't do any exercises, because obviously you need your heart for those things. So he was overweight and was teased by his classmates and school children. You know how school kids are. Yeah, so he had blackouts. And then his father, wow, what a father, he used to tell him that he's just faking the blackouts because you can just fake blackouts. And the father was mostly saying he's faking the blackouts because the doctors couldn't diagnose exactly what was going on, why he had the blackouts. And blackouts usually, I think, in relation to neurological problems. So the doctors couldn't find what was wrong. So the father was like, you're faking it. For years and years, he used to have these blackouts. And they finally found out that he had a black coat in his brain, which was treated, of course. But then his father still beat him up and treated him badly. The father, what? So to make it worse, the father was already making fun of him for no apparent reason, right? So he had to drop out of school because he was in and out of school because of the blackouts. So he had to drop out of school. And so the father then concluded, finally, those words he used to use, oh, you're stupid. Yeah, he was like, see, I told you you're stupid, you dropped out of school. At the age of 18, John got involved with Democratic Party, and finally in his life he was feeling something good is coming out of this life thing. Then his dad was still I'm still gonna make fun of you for that, you're a party patsy, whatever that means. So I looked it up, and this is what it means. So after being looked down on by his father for such a long time, John was finally you know what? I mean, the dad couldn't even allow him to use his own car. Imagine, you have a car, and your dad's you can't use it. Why? So John was finally I'm leaving. I'm going to Las Vegas, baby. Peace. When he was in Vegas, he started working for an ambulance, but then he was transferred to work in the mortuary, where he used to sleep near corpse in the embalming room. Yeah. That must have been scary. So on the last day of his job, John Gacy, at the job at the mortuary, so John Gacy got into a coffin and started fondling with the corpse. And then he realized that he was aroused by a corpse, I guess. The corpse of a teenage boy. Ugh. And then, yeah, he was like, oh my goodness, I'm quitting. I think I think after that you're just what the hell. And so he quit and went back to Chicago. He called his mom Mom, I'm coming back. Went back to Chicago to live with his parents after only working for 90 days and being gone for 90 days. He went back. As they say, what stays in Vegas, wait, what? As they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So when he went back to Chicago, he was I'm forgetting everything that happened with the corpse in Chicago. Okay, so he enrolled in business school at the Northwestern University, where he graduated business school in 1963. Northwestern Business College, not Northwestern University. After graduating, he got an employment at the Nanbush Shoe Company, but then he was transferred to Springfield in Chicago, in Illinois. I guess it was in Chicago. And here he met Marilyn Mayes because she was working in the same department as him. And then after 9 months of dating, they got married. As usual, you date for 9 months and get married. That's the normal procedure. I'm joking, that was too fast. Already, like, Gassi's life, John Wayne Gacy, like, his life was just escalating, because like in 1964, at the same place where he was working, he got elected or promoted to key man, whatever that means. Then again in 1965, he got promoted to vice president. Can you imagine graduating in 1963 and 1965, you're vice president, and after your dad called you stupid? I'll be like, stupid. But at this point, John's life was going amazing. I mean, he had a job, he was vice president, he had a wife, and life was just looking good for him, except for the one thing that he had, which was his involvement sexually with teenage boys. Yeah. So like after Marilyn and John got married, right, in 1964 of September 1964, they moved to Waterloo, where John had managed 3 KFC branches which were run by Marilyn's father. Gacy soon joined the Waterloo JCs. I don't know, JC Waterloo's. Yeah. He joined them and was soon in 1967 crowned as outstanding vice president. So this guy's life was like, he was like going rank after rank after rank, win after win after win. But then, you know, this whole position thing, like, it had a bad side. So the Waterloo JCs, like those people that were like on top, I guess, the directors, because it was part of the board of directors now. So then they were involved in like drugs, illegal drug use, prostitutes, wife swapping really, and pornography, among other bad things that they were doing. So yeah, he was also in this circle, so he was part of them. They were together. So whilst all these illegal things were happening, you know, like from bad to bad to bad, he was still having these desires for these male teenagers who he like started targeting the ones that worked at the Kentucky Fried Chicken, where he like the ones he managed, owned by his wife's father. Yeah, he started like eyeing them like So to lure these kids in, Gacy used to use his basement. He turned it into a hanging out place, you know, like a man cave or something, and he would lure them there to like give them alcohol and pornography and all this stuff, and they would come, they'd get very intoxicated, and then he would take advantage of them. This guy needs to be caught. He needs to get caught. So at this point, Gacy was already having kids. He had a firstborn male child in 1967, followed by a girl. And at this point, finally, his father was like, he felt like, my dad will finally approve of me. Finally. So one thing about like these psychopaths and these killers is that they always think they're smarter than everybody else in the room. They're like, I'm the smartest nut in this room, so like you can't crack me. So he used to like, because he had all these accomplishments and he had these things that were going for him in his life, he thought he was better than everybody. So he told everybody to call him Colonel. And the people that had noticed that, okay, there's something off about this guy, they started to like move away. Like the people that were not in that ring of drugs and prostitutes, they were like, peace. You can't sit with us! We don't want to hang out with you. Like, this is getting awkward. You're asking us to call you Colonel. And he used to like tell like these weird transparent lies. Like, we can tell you're lying.
Lying. Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop your fucking lying.
We don't believe that. So finally, like, obviously this guy had to get caught at some point, right? And it came. So in 1967, this guy had hired this kid, Donald Voorhees. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but this is his name. So he had hired this kid who was the son of one of his associates at Jace's, right? So he hired this kid to do just weird odd jobs at the house. Like maybe he's telling you like, can you like move this carpet to there, and then move that other carpet to here? Odd jobs. Like, why do I need to do that? Why am I here again? Anyway, but the kid needed money. You know what it is when you're a teenager. You just want a job to get money. You're just like, I'll do anything, okay? Yeah, so then after like his jobs, his weird jobs, he would like tell him, come to the basement with me, let's have a beer, you know? And then he would like get him drunk and take advantage of him. So then Donald obviously noticed this and was like, wait a minute, this is not right. Then he said, I'm gonna tell my dad and I'm gonna report you and this and that. And he was like, oh, you dare not report me. I guess, I'm sure that's not what he said, but So like he was like, don't report me and whatever. And the kid, he reported, smart kid, he reported to his father. But then he, like when the father went to the police, like, this man did this to my son, he was like, no. You know what his defense was, this Gassy guy, because he was just so full of himself, is like, this man is trying to sabotage me. This is why he told his son to say this stuff about me, because he's trying to sabotage me. Like, bro, you did it. Anyway, so what this guy did, because he knew that things were not looking good, like this Gassy guy was like, this is not looking good. So he hired an 18-year-old Russell Schroeder. This is his name. I can't pronounce names clearly. I think we've established that by now. So he hired this Russell Schroeder person, and he was like, you should just beat him up so he doesn't say anything. But then Russell backed out. You know, he was like, no, peace, I don't want to be involved. He almost went in with a plan, but then he was like, I don't want to be involved. So then finally, Gassy just pled guilty to the crime of sodomy and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Damn, after your life is going so well, like, what went wrong? What went wrong? A day came, unfortunately, that Gassy's dad died December 24th, 1969. The father died, and so Gassy pled, like, he was so, like, touched and pissed, you know, because he loved his dad and he really wanted to just make the man happy. So the dad died, and he was like, oh my goodness, can I go see my dad, like the funeral thing? Then he was like, the prison officials were like, no. So yeah, the prison officials had denied Gassy's request to see his dad, even though he was like well behaved. He became a cook, like a chief cook in prison, imagine. Then ultimately his good behavior did pay off, because he was released just after serving 2 years of the 10-year sentence. Can you imagine the joy in his heart? So he was released in 1971. So he was released in October and served a 12-month probation, which is still like so amazing as compared to like 10 years. So like this guy, luck. So this guy was divorced by his wife Marilyn while he was still in prison, and then he was really angry and he was like, I never want to see you or our children ever again. And he vowed to this, and he kept his word, which he was, I think he was really happy, because now he was free to have this weird fantasies he had, because now he didn't have a family or no one to care for, no one to disappoint. He was like, I'm chilling. So obviously this clown guy's life was done in Waterloo, where he used to work, so he had nothing to live for there. So he went back to Chicago to live with his mom, where he started working as a cook, of course, because he learned how to cook in prison, I guess. And also he started working at a construction site. So at this point, I have no idea what's wrong with this guy. So he went on to try and rape another guy, a young kid, 17-year-old boy. So this case never really went far, because the kid never showed up in court for some reason. So this guy, this clown, so on January 2nd, right, he went on to kill Timothy McCoy, a 16-year-old guy who was waiting for a bus at a terminal, right? And it was dark, and so Timothy was like sleeping there. So then this guy, the clown, approached Timothy, was like, would you like a place to like stay, you know, because you can't wait out here. So Timothy was like, good idea, I should come with you. So they went together in a jolly way. Then you will not believe why he killed him. You won't. So this guy, the clown, he claimed that he woke up in the morning, the next morning, right? Timothy slept at his house. So he woke up the next morning. Then he saw Timothy at the door with a knife, just standing. He was probably not even like standing with it like, I'm gonna kill you. He was probably just like standing with it. So this guy proceeded, the clown, right? He proceeded to get in the knife and stabbing the teenage boy. I don't get it. And his claim was that he thought the teenage boy, who was a stranger, was about to kill him, so he had to get to him first before he got killed. I don't know how this flew past people. What? So later on, this clown went on to say that he actually realized, like, after killing Timothy, that Timothy didn't actually want to kill him. He was actually preparing breakfast, and that's why he was standing there with a knife, because he's from preparing breakfast. But then he still hid Timothy, who was the first victim to be hid under a crawl space in his house. Yeah, he had a crawl space where he used to dump bodies. Imagine. So on the 1st of July 1972, wedding bells were ringing. Cara Hoff got married to this clown person. Cara Hoff was a divorcee with 2 kids, and they moved in with Gassy. Even though she knew about his previous convictions, he downplayed them. Just like, what's his name? That guy, Ted Bundy. They all downplay everything. Like, everything bad they downplay, but everything good they're like, I did all this stuff. But then the bad things are like, I did that, but like it wasn't as bad as people are placing it to be. No, it was bad. I kid you not, guys. This guy was the biggest clown on earth. So like, and yeah, I'm referring to him as a clown. Anyway, so just 2 weeks after he got married to Carol Hoff, he was arrested and charged for sexual assault of another teenage guy, right? Imagine, and Carol still stayed through all this. I'd be like, nigga, peace. It's been nice knowing you. So this guy, like Ted Bundy, impersonated an officer and then forced the kid into his car to sexually assault him. But the kid was like, hell nah. But then the kid also, this case didn't go anywhere because the kid tried to blackmail John. So it didn't really go anywhere. So this guy, Gacy, John Wayne Gacy, he continued to like add bodies into the crawl space under his house. He added. Like, what time did you even have to kill people and put them? Anyway, so he continued doing this killing thing, and so he added bodies, and obviously dead bodies smell naturally. When something rots, it smells, okay? If you're not living, you die, you start to rot. So they started to smell. So this stench covered the whole house and the outside, and the neighbors could smell it, and they were like, you need to find something to do with that smell because we cannot smell it. And I don't know why people didn't find it very suspicious that he had this stench. I would be like, what's wrong? I would call the police. I would be like, my neighbor's house smells really bad. You should look at it. So still after all these charges and all these things that have happened, this guy has been, like, he's been being charged for all these assaults and everything. And the stench in his house was still like, you know, though all these were signs, right? He still was working in construction. But then in 1974, he started his own construction company called Painting, Maintenance and Decorating. Painting, Decorating and Maintenance Contractors, Inc. So he started hiring teenage boys. And he told his friends he's only doing that because he has to cut down on costs. So he has to like hire teenagers who only want like some money, not like an actual pay. But obviously this was to lure the guys. So then this guy would put up posters about like advertisements for his job, availableness, I guess, availability. Oh my god, English is so hard. Anyway, so like he would put up ads and be like, okay, there's a job offer here, job offer there, right? So then this kid's obviously, you're excited as a teenager, like, I can definitely do this job. So you go to the house, right? Then he renders the victims unconscious, and then he would like sadistically torture them, and obviously will lead to their death. So disgusting. So while he wasn't killing people, he was a community saint. Like, he used to do fundraisers and all these community projects. He had a company that was hiring teenage boys to help. But when people asking where these teenage guys went, I would be all up in that business. I would be like, where are the kids? Why is there a bad smell around your house? I have many questions. I would be that person. So like while he was oh yeah, that's where also he was doing like the clown thing. That's why he got the Pogo Clown Killer, the clown killer. Yeah, that's why he got the name, because he used to like be a clown at kids parties. And you know, when you see such people, you never suspect them of doing anything. Just like, this man is a crazy guy, he just always does this weird clown stuff. But little do you know. So this guy, just after like a year and some months of marriage to this woman, Carol Hoff, they divorced in October 1975. And this got her out of his hair, and he was like, finally, I can finally focus on not only being a good husband, but being a good community person, and also hiding the dead bodies under my crawl space. But this wasn't really like a shock to Carol, because she knew like there's something up with my husband, because there used to be teenage boys walking in and out of their house, and like he didn't want to be intimate with her. So he just like finally confessed, like, I'm attracted to guys and whatever. In short, he came out of the closet. So during the period of 1976 to 1978, I kid you not, this man had managed to hide 29 bodies under a crawl space of his house. 29. Wasn't he haunted? Imagine living in a house with 29 bodies under your house. He was probably haunted. Oh yeah, but then, you know, I said he had killed 33 people at the beginning of the video, if you paid attention. So at this point, the 4 that were remaining that were not under his house were thrown into the Des Moines River. I don't know how to pronounce it. On December 11th, 1978, young 16-year-old Robert Paste told his family and friends that he was going for job interview at this construction place where he wanted to get a job. Yeah, he was never seen again. Robert Paste, I'm sure that's his name. Piest, I don't know. So Piest. Anyway, so Robert Paste. I'll say what's easier. Paste. Robert Paste. It must be Robert Paste. So Robert Paste left his job at the pharmacy after the contractor came, right, at the pharmacy to look for Robert. So then when the pharmacy owner was contacted by the police, he was like, yeah, a man did come here, actually, a contractor. He works for the Painting, Decorating and Maintenance Contractors Inc. And who was that person? John Wayne Gacy. So the police were like, we're finna investigate and finally arrest this guy. What the hell? So like many other suspicious people that deny everything once you ask them questions, John was asked, did you speak to Robert Paste before he disappeared? Then he's like, no, I didn't. But then the pharmacy guy, the employer to Robert before, Robert worked at the pharmacy, right? So the employer was like, no, they did speak actually, because Robert was just telling me how happy he is that he's going to talk to this contractor guy because I refused to give him a raise. And so the contractor was like, you and I can work during summer together. It makes no sense that the contractor guy is saying that I didn't speak to this kid. They did speak, I think. Denying put John at the top of the list. They were like, he's our #1 suspect. Let's search his house. So only 2 days after, December 13th, 1978, Robert was arrested. They had a warrant for his arrest, so they called him to the police station to make an oral and written statement. And so while they were doing this statement, John found out that his house was being searched, right? So he got very angry because, 29 bodies. You'd get angry. So they went to this guy's house, right? They found so many suspicious things. 2 driver's licenses that didn't belong to him, guns, ammunition, child pornography, police badges, switchblade, a piece of stained carpet, obviously with blood, hair samples from Gacy's automobiles, I guess phone, store receipt, and several clothings that are teen styled that would not even fit this Gacy guy. I mean, from the looks of it, he looked like a big bulky man. You having small clothes does not make sense, sweetheart. So they had looked at the background of this Gacy person, and everything was just so bad. He had arrests for sexual assaults and all these weird things. So obviously they dabbed him as an active pedophile, as anybody would. But the shocking thing, guys, they went to the crawl space, right? The crawl space with the 29 bodies. They didn't find anything. How? But then they were like, there's a stench here. There is a stench. It's probably the sewer. Can you imagine they said it's probably the sewer? Okay, weren't they missing case reports at this point? Wouldn't you be like, teenage boys, teenage clothes, and you try to deny you talk to a teenager? Wouldn't you just lift the whole house and just find all the bodies? So this guy was put under surveillance watch, of course, because suspicious, duh. Yeah, so this guy was put under surveillance and they used to watch him, but then he knew. So he used to play this game, when you know you're being watched. He used to be this good person, and he would invite them over to have breakfast or lunch, and they would sit down and talk, and he would joke. They were just we're not finding anything wrong with this guy. But then again, during that same surveillance time, he used to hide the bodies. He used to get rid of the bodies. How, guys? How were you watching this guy and he was still able to do these things? I don't get it. The police went over to the Pace household, right? Robert Pace's house. And then the mom told them a very interesting story. They went there to talk about how far they've gone with the investigations, because you have to let the families know and everything. So they went there. And then they talked to the mom. And what the mom said, astounding. This is what she said. So she told the police that her son, an employee who worked with the son at the pharmacy, right, had borrowed the son's jacket while, she wanted to go out. So when she came back, she had put a receipt in the jacket, right? And the same receipt was the receipt that was found amongst the evidence in Gacy's house, which proved that Robert had actually been there, because that same receipt that she had and put in the jacket was the same receipt that was found in Gacy's house. And so they proved finally that Gacy was lying, and actually the kid had been into that house. So they had talked. Where is the kid, Gacy? Where's the kid? No, seriously. So during this whole investigation thing, all the people that were connected to Gacy were interviewed, all the close people, the employees. And so he would question, Gacy would question them after this suspicious, he would like question, like imagine after you're being questioned, then this guy comes like, okay, what did they tell you? Like, what did you say? Tell me the exact words. Yeah, so yeah, he would do that. So then these people found, oh my goodness, please save me the embarrassment, please do not embarrass me. So like these people would be like, this is very suspicious. And so what he would do was he would ask them to go in the crawl spaces, because how didn't you see bodies in those crawl spaces? Anyway, he would ask them to go in the crawl spaces and dig trenches. And there, what were the trenches for? What were the trenches for? I would be asking, like, why am I digging this again? Obviously, like 29 bodies, bro, 33 bodies, too big of a number for you to hide. Like, you cannot hide that many people. So he knew that, bro, I'm about to get caught. So his behavior turned completely bizarre. Like, everything was just weird. Like, why are you acting like this? And on the morning that he was getting arrested, he went to all the homes of his neighbors to say goodbye. This guy was just like, he was losing it. Like that morning, he was taking pills and drinking, and he confessed to some people that he had actually killed 30 people. He didn't know how to count. He killed 33. So this guy was probably just done with the world at this point, because he orchestrated a drug deal in full view of the surveillance. Like, they're looking at him and he's there like making drug deals, and then they arrested him. So he was now arrested and was in police custody, and then he was let know, like they let him know, like, oh bro, we're actually doing a search warrant back at your house. Bro, didn't he have chest pains? He had chest pains and was rushed to the hospital, right? But meanwhile, they were still searching the crawl spaces. Police were really shocked by what they found. They were like, what the hell? And this guy was released from the hospital later that night, and then he knew that the gig was up. He was like, okay, so you guys caught me. Yeah, I did kill Robert Pace. He confessed to that. Finally, even though it was obvious, he confessed to that. And he confessed to killing 32 other people. But then the amount, for some reason, was 45 killings that he confessed to. So this guy was a monster. So this guy, as if very proud of his work and what he had accomplished, he confessed to the killings, and then he told the police how he did it. So he would usually like bring someone in and then lie to them, be like, I'm about to perform a magic trick, bibbidi bobbidi boo. Then he would tie them, like he would be like, you have to be restrained with handcuffs. So then they would get restrained. Sorry, I'm just looking if I had an injury. Anyway, so they would get restrained, and then he would stuff their mouth with socks, and then they'll be like, this is not a magic trick. And yeah, it's not a magic trick. And then after that, he would choke them while he raped them, which is... Just go. And thank God for technology. 25 of the 33 people were identified, and the rest, the research was still going on between 2011 and 2016. So this is a list of names, unfortunately, of the people that he had murdered. I mean, talk about body count. Like, so on February 6th, 1980, Gacy went to trial, and the jury consisted of 5 women and 7 men, who all found him guilty, of course, of the 33 killings. And even though his attorneys tried, they were like, no, he's insane. Yeah, that didn't work. He was sentenced to death. It happens. So, like, this nigga, Ted Bundy, all these killers are all afraid of dying, right? So, like, he used to tell these versions of stories that this is how I killed. Okay, no, this is, you know, he used to change. Like, this is what I did. No, this is what I did. So his appeal dates were exhausted, finally. Like, the stories, they were tired of hearing them. So, finally, he was, like, injected lethally. You can inject someone lethally. He was given a lethal injection on the 9th of May, 1994. That's when he died. And his last words were, I was shocked. Kiss my... Yeah. Those were his last words. I mean, after killing all those people, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, at least... That's not even human. He's not human. As I said, clown. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I've been tired. Can you imagine? I shot this video over 3 days, a span of 3 days. It was that long, and I was that busy. But anyway, I would really appreciate you if you subscribed. Honestly, it would mean a lot to me and the growth of this channel, please. So subscribe, and keep being a nice person. Don't be mean, be polite, be kind, and comment below if you're a new subscriber so we can get to know each other, you know, more. I reply to all my comments, by the way. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time in my video. I love you. Bye.